What does it mean to trust? What is it to trust fundamentally in a reality that is not human and not human-made? What does it mean for me to personally trust a reality that is not a thing, that is a no thing? How do I practice placing my ultimate trust, my most foundational faith, first and finally, in the reality of mystery and the mystery of reality?
Don't pile up treasures on earth where moth and rust can spoil them and thieves can break in and steal. But keep your treasure in the deep place where there is neither moth nor rust to spoil it, and nobody can break in and steal. For wherever your treasure is, you may be certain that your heart will be there too.
And the less I seek my source for some definitive, closer I am to find.
In returning and rest you shall be saved. In quietness and in trust shall be your strength. We look not at what can be seen, but at what cannot be seen. For what can be seen is temporary, but what cannot be seen is timeless. Now, come on, let's get real. How can I trust something I can't see?
This is the point. There is no point. This trust we are exploring is trust in a no thing. It does not exist.
Yes, that's what I mean.
No, it does not exist until I look for it, until I seek it. Then I find it. Then I see it. I feel it. I know it. I connect with it everywhere and in everything.
What was in your coffee this morning?
Hang with me. This journey is special, and it is personal. Don't tune out.
I trust in lots of things. I am going to stick with the stock market. I trust my friends and family, my exercise and nutrition program, my country, and rock-solid rational thought, scientific data, and medical protocols.
It is good to trust all these things and the specific content these represent. But realize these are all things. They are all content. None of these elements are worthy of your ultimate trust. As an ultimate trust, only the ultimate reality is worthy.
You are going to have to make this much clearer for me.
How can I look at all of this goodness and fear the beyond? If this was this good, I definitely trust. If you want to know what I trust that this is the beginning of eternal goodness in some way, and I don't care how. Chardin says, at death we enter the stream of life. It doesn't say if it's conscious or not. It's good enough for me. And if what I'm doing is helping to grow daisies in another life, I'll be fine. I'll be very happy with that. Won't bother me a bit.
The very word power includes the meaning of power over something, as well as the power to do something. The sun has gravitational power over the earth. The earth has gravitational power over our bodies. Inclusive reality has power over every partial reality. If we designate inclusive reality with a devotional term like God or Creator, then it is clear that this Creator has power over us and over all other creations. God is therefore appropriately symbolized as Almighty. Picturing the Almighty Creator as the character in a story of myth or poetic talk is talk about inclusive reality. Such symbolic talk means that this almighty power of inclusive reality is the God that we have chosen to trust.
We can notice that each of us is a profound enigma, as dynamic as the mysteriousness of the final mysterious otherness as a whole. In our experience of the mysteriousness of our own selves, we are experiencing a closeness with that final mysteriousness with which we are inescapably related. Indeed, that very relatedness can be said to be our true self. So, while that final mysteriousness remains far away and absolutely other than our earthly space-time, talking, walking, thinking, choosing, being, yet all this talking is a talk with God. All this walking is a walk with God. All this thinking is seeking the thoughts of God. All of this choosing is choosing a life with God, or not. And this is the ultimate choice, to trust or not trust final reality. It is this trust that gives final reality the name God.
Keep in mind that the only thing our Blessed Mother claims in her Magnificat as interesting God in her particular humanity is her nothingness. It doesn't build her surrender on anything else. He has looked with kindness on my nothingness. Some translations are lowliness, but I don't think they quite got it. Nothingness refers you back to creation, where we come out of nothing and can do nothing of ourselves that has any relationship to deification or transformation. But we think so because we're trained that way in cultural belief systems that are congenial to our emotional programs for happiness, but that from the point of view of reality are a lot of baloney. So to feel and acknowledge and consent to our creaturehood, to be nothing, and to turn our life over completely to God, this is the fundamental principle. And this only grows with time, so that there's this balance between our nothingness and God's confidence in God's total presence and support system. It's this breadth of view which can be experience one's creaturehood, one's nothingness, one's weakness, classically described by St. Paul in his experience. Perhaps that's worth just referring to for a moment. There he was telling he's confessing, I think it's 1 Corinthians, his experience of ecstasies where he was drawn up into the 3rd or 4th heaven and heard and saw things he couldn't repeat and so on. And he came back to earth. And then he was hit by some thorn of the flesh, which he doesn't say what it was. So he prays to God 3 times, 3 in the scripture always meaning with great intensity or as much as possible, to be delivered, because he saw it might be interfering with his ministry. And it was, probably. So God's reply is interesting. No, I'm not going to take this away, because my power is made perfect in weakness. So what this it says, then Paul goes on to glory in his infirmities, his weaknesses, whatever they were, we don't know. But what is clear is that God was more concerned about Paul's humility or the acceptance of his weakness and nothingness than about his visions, and was perhaps worried that this exaltation, of a spiritual kind would interfere with his humility. So God is more interested in us and our transformation, deification, because that's our great contribution, to give God ourselves completely out of human nature, or bearing the burden and accountability of being human with all its failures and faults.
Trust, power, nothingness, humility, walking with God and talking with God. This journey is beckoning me to a deeper understanding of who I am and who I am not. This journey is inviting me to embrace and practice a trust I am only beginning to grasp. Let's continue.